XRP fixed income liquidity. Why are we titling this night, tonight's live show, XRP fixed income liquidity? Well, I'll tell you right off the get-go here. We're going to provide a full update, but we're talking about additional liquidity coming to the XRP ledger. This is going to be fixed income liquidity and settlement that's now going to be done by the most recent Hidden Road acquisition made by Ripple. So Ripple makes an acquisition, one of the largest in the cryptocurrency space, and we talked about it on Tuesday's live show, right? Ripple takes quantum leap with XRP. That was the title of Tuesday's show, and we're still breaking down how big of a deal this acquisition of a prime broker that was already moving and settling 10 billion on a daily basis, 3 trillion on a yearly basis, and now we find out that Hidden Road has just been and acquired a broker-dealer license for fixed income assets. We're talking about the bond market. We're talking about other fixed income securities. I'm going to show you the full range of them. And so we have a prime broker right here that's already doing 10 billion daily, 3 trillion on a yearly basis. Now they have more options. Now they have more options for their market maker clients, the OTC clients that they have. This is a massive deal for Ripple and the XRP ledger because we know Ripple already told us, David Schwartz himself, saying, imagine a portion of this liquidity, 3 trillion on a yearly basis, coming to the XRP ledger. And we know that RLUSD is going to be the main source of collateral for backing basically all of their products on their platform now. So not only are they setting a standard with RLUSD, they are implementing it within the Hidden Road business that's a 3 trillion yearly payment volume. But now we're going to expand the service offering to their clientele, making Ripple the one-stop shop as a prime broker, custodian, and payment solution provider. This is a massive deal. And so we're going to break it down in tonight's live show. I know folks are focused on price, hyper-focused on price. And by the way, that's what ends up being a fatal mistake for your portfolio because folks are getting lulled to sleep right now with XRP price action. And from what I'm looking at, technicals, fundamentals, events that we know are coming up right around the corner. We're talking about the settlement with the SEC. We're talking about more XRP ETFs. We're talking about leveraged XRP ETFs. We're talking about spot XRP ETFs. We're talking about a portion of a 3 trillion yearly volume of payments moving to the XRP ledger now. This process is underway now. And just so that we can make this very, very simple and easy for everybody to understand, you can use RLUSD without XRP, and we're talking about the RLUSD that's issued on Ethereum. That's the only instance where you're using RLUSD without XRP. Period, full stop. Stop the FUD. Stop the confusion. This shouldn't be that hard for folks to understand, but I've been talking about this mass misinformation and disinformation campaign being ran against XRP as long as I've been making content for almost 5 years now. And this is what we've been up against. And we're going to show you here, even Bloomberg covering this Hidden Road prime broker license that they were just awarded. But instead of showing XRP or Ripple on the front page of their headline, they show Bitcoin. All part of the suppression, all part of the misinformation against XRP. But I'm telling you right now that folks are getting lulled to sleep with price action, forgetting the fundamentals, or they never took the time to look at the fundamentals. They're not taking the time to look at the events that we know are right around the corner. And when I put out the tweet today explaining how easy it was going to be for XRP to flip Ethereum and the backlash and the folks that think I'm crazy, keep dreaming, bro. We showed everybody that XRP already went to a market cap of 195 billion back in January. Just a few months ago, we were at nearly a 200 billion market cap, and Ethereum right now is struggling at about 190 billion, breaking below 200 billion here recently for the Ethereum market cap. Now, fully diluted value, XRP is already ahead of Ethereum. Fully diluted value, which is a very important consideration to be made because that's another form of suppression against XRP. But we're not here to make excuses. Excuses are, at the end of the day, not going to be acceptable because we are going to need to see that price action. Folks, like I said, are going to miss it because they're going to be chasing other things. I mean, folks think I'm here to hype up Zebek. No, I'm not. I'm sharing a utility project that's based in America. I've been talking about how bullish I am about these projects. Now, this coin did go on a tear. It's up about 40% in the past couple days. It's absolutely ripping. And I think that the upside potential on it's going to go a lot further. But this is another utility. Does it take away from XRP? No, at least not in my portfolio. See, I don't play around with my XRP. When it's time to acquire another utility coin, we make that acquisition. But I'm not playing around with my XRP right now because I know at any point right now, and I think we're going to see one here shortly, and it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. A lot of people saw the headline that the SEC had another 60 days, and they give up their XRP. They literally, I guarantee you that there's people that sold their XRP over the past day because they saw that the SEC has 60 days and the timeline's been extended, and this case is never going to end. And I get it. It's frustrating. We're wore out. Is now the time to sell your XRP, though? Absolutely not. I think it's right around the corner, and I've been talking about utility cryptos based in America. XRP Ripple in the lead. We got other bags, though. We've been talking about DAG. I just looked into Zebek. Shout out to the community. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be looking into this project. Been pleasantly surprised with what I find. And in an effort of full transparency, what do? In the middle of my deep dive research, and I still got a deep dive on this project on the way, but in the middle of it, I said, okay, I've seen enough. Let's pick up a bag. And I get the word out yesterday. I drop a video. I tell you guys what price I bought in at. I have not sold. Don't plan on selling anytime soon until it goes up to substantially higher targets that I have set on this project. Unlike some influencers that do like to show you, pump you, dump you. Could we do that? Of course. Have we ever done it? No. Will we ever do it? Absolutely not. Because my reputation's on the line and I value that just as much as you guys have put so much trust in me. I know it only takes one bad deal. And so folks are kind of surprised to see me talking about another project. Well, I've been saying, if it has real utility, if it's based in America, and we need something cooking. And you know that it takes a lot for me for it to pass my sniff test, my due diligence, because we look where folks don't want to look. We ask questions that folks don't want to ask. And the number one question is who the hell is actually using the token? That's what we always bring it back to. So far, we got some good traction on these cryptos that we've been talking about recently. DAG. I'm going to be giving another update on HBAR soon too. And I know you guys have been asking me about a lot of other cryptos too. But there's a lot of crap out there. And so we try to find real gems. We're not here to hype up anything. I'm not here to give anybody financial advice. But what I am here to do is let you know when we find something special with momentum, with utility. And I just am so bullish on our American economy being restored. The capital markets are actually going to be ahead of our economy. They will recover faster than our economy. And that's right around the corner as well, with President Trump calling out Jerome Powell, saying that if he wanted him gone, he would be right away. We're going to start off the episode tonight by covering that as well. But you're going to want to stick around because we're going to be talking about this massive, massive deal. Hidden Road, now acquired by Ripple, $3 trillion yearly in volume, and it's going to be moving to the XRP ledger, at least a portion of it. And now they've been awarded a prime broker license to expand their service offering as well. So let's get right on into it. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. This is going to be a good one. Let's start here real quick on the markets. Bitcoin back up today to 85,500. Right now it's trading at 84.8. But we did get a couple green days here, Wednesday and today, Thursday, closing off green, starting the Friday candle as I record this update. ETH really struggling down here below 1,600. Like I said, from a market cap perspective, below 200 billion. And that's a level that XRP went up to with ease. And when I saw the comments back, I'm like, holy cow, people really don't get this, how easy it's going to be to flip ETH. Like, there was people commenting trying to tell me that XRP was far away from ETH because XRP is at 120 billion market cap and ETH is at 190 billion. They haven't watched my market cap multiplier videos. In particular, the one example that comes to mind is when Trump tweeted about XRP being in the reserve, and the multiplier on that was nearly 500x off the spot inflows. It was a 500x multiplier. Only about 27 million of inflows led to 44 billion of market cap growth. I'm telling you right now, these guys are about to get smacked with the hard truth of XRP flipping ETH with ease. Like, it's actually stupid how silly this is going to be and how these guys just don't see it. I cannot wait. It's going to be hilarious. So ETH, well, yeah, it's a struggle. XRP, yeah, a few red days. But what am I looking at on this XRP chart right now? We flushed it out all the way down to $1.61. And we've been setting a series of higher lows all the way here. Right, a little bit of a pullback right here. But if you look at this, we've been building back up some structure. We're chopping sideways for a few days, downward action, red candle, very small red candles. Yesterday, the market took a beating, and XRP only went down to 204, still holding that $2 buy wall. And I'm telling you, all it takes is one tweet. All it takes is one SEC case is over. All it takes is some ETFs going live. This thing turns around and really just rips to the upside viciously. For XLM, this thing's hanging out just below 25 cents. I think it's a good acquisition at this level. Personally, not financial advice for anybody, but I think when you got a potential for Stellar to move up to $2 this bull run, not a bad pickup. As frustrated as I am with Flare, I still think that now you're at a good level to acquire it at $0.015 as this thing moves up towards 7, 8 cents, maybe even 10 cents this bull run. Not expecting, massive fireworks for Flare, but enough to make a nice little run on that one. A 7-cent XDC when the potential upside on this one, I see 40 to 50 cents this bull run. That's a big one. I do like that. Algo, something that doesn't get me overly excited right now. I do have a small bag, and it's at 18 cents right now. We'll continue to watch it. Stronghold, something that I do hold. Haven't done a deep dive on it. Highly requested and on the way. Highly requested, and I have been impressed with some of the things that I've seen so far. Deep dive for SHX on the way. My SEI bag is absolutely wrecked. That's SEI. I bought back into this coin at 50 cents, and I've actually just watched this chart get nuked. You win some, you lose some, and I like to admit when I get things wrong, and I do like to admit when we lose on a coin too. That's okay, right? Sometimes we lose. That's okay. Because in this cryptocurrency space, we're still knocking it out of the park. And so, we're not afraid to swing and miss. That's what this comes down to. If you're not swinging, you ain't hitting. It's just that simple. And so we're going to keep on swinging. And this project actually is being bought up by that World Liberty Financial, which I don't put an incredible amount of value on that. I've voiced my frustration with World Liberty Financial, particularly the involvement with Trump in his administration. Really the Trump family, not even his administration. That company, that's not Trump. Folks really need to get that clear. When you see World Liberty Financial buying ETH, that's not Trump buying ETH. Trump doesn't care about ETH. If he did, ETH wouldn't be struggling like it is on the price chart. So don't get it twisted. World Liberty Financial is not Trump. He never should have tied his name to it. It's a mistake that I've called them out for. And I also think that we need to check some of the people that are surrounding and getting the ear of President Trump. I think we got to be cautious. We got to be cautious here. The Bitcoin maxis are in overdrive. I've talked about that recently. HBAR at 16 cents. I think it's a nice pickup because you could still hit a 10 bagger on this one up to $1.60. Yeah, I see HBAR $1.50, $2 for this bull run. Yeah. And I'm just kind of giving you guys a little bit of my targets, some interesting coins that I've been watching. Corium got choppy here a little bit, but I do think that this one can run a little bit as well. Not something that's overly exciting to me. Telcoin, I'm going to be providing an update on this one here shortly, so you guys stick around for that one. That's going to be a deep dive on the list. And then DEG, working to get back up here at 4 cents, watching that one closely. But the big one was Zebek, and you can see, I'll show you the upside here in a second. But Zebek over the past couple days up 41%. I told you guys I got in yesterday Yesterday, it was down to 0.00084. I got in a little bit above that, 0.0009. And we dropped to zero today. We dropped to zero. We're at only 2 zeros after the decimal now, 0.001. Okay, and this thing went all the way up to 0.0012. Heck of a move. Heck of a move. And I'll be talking about more about that project later. More about that one later. Now, let's get into it. Here we go. President Trump, and I'm really, really excited to see this play out. I think that what's setting up right now is for us to have a, some have talked about a near-death experience for America. And I also think that we have a World War III scenario still playing out. And, I'll just play this clip of President Trump talking about basically walking Israel off the edge. Apparently, Israel was ready to launch an attack on Iran. And the report right now is that President Trump actually backed him off. Let's take a listen in on this one.
And they said the attack is what?
That you waved off an Israeli plan to attack Iranian nuclear facilities.
I wouldn't say waved off. I'm not in a rush to do it because I think that Iran has a chance to have a great country and to live happily without death. And I'd like to see that. That's my first option. If there's a second option, I think it would be very bad for Iran. And I think Iran is wanting to talk. I hope they're wanting to talk. It's going to be very good for them if they do. And I'd like to see Iran thrive in the future, do fantastically well. I know the Iranian people, they're incredible people. Always have been very smart, very energetic, very successful people. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt anybody. I really don't. But Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's, pretty simple. It's really simple. We're not looking to take their industry. We're not looking to take their land. All we're saying is you can't have a nuclear weapon.
And it's interesting because we've talked about actually XRP helping to prevent World War III. We've talked about this in the past. I'm actually going to be doing a video here shortly talking about XRP ending the currency war or finishing the currency war, basically. The currency war is already underway. But as President Trump said at the Bitcoin conference last year and has reiterated, stablecoins are going to be key to US dollar dominance. And so now you see Ripple. What did they just acquire? Hidden Road Prime Brokerage Service. And this Prime Brokerage just got approval to be a broker dealer for fixed income securities, which would be bonds, which would be treasuries, right? Both corporate bonds and also US treasuries. And so Ripple, not only can they help, be a liquidity provider for these markets, they're actually helping to get more exposure to the US dollar through that RLUSD stablecoin. On the back of XRP being the neutral bridge currency for the world too. But I love to see this. I know we're frustrated, right? Markets are crazy. The tariff talk has everybody riled up. But it sounds like Israel was getting ready to launch an attack here. And the setup that I'm looking at right now is it looks like President Trump's going to broker a deal for peace in the Middle East once again. And I think that, whether something has to happen before that deal comes about, we got reports from President Trump and Scott Bessent that next week they're going to be signing the deal for the minerals in Ukraine. They already have a deal ready. He's basically said as long as Zelensky behaves himself between now and next week. And he actually spoke, very critical of Zelensky in today's press conference. I was listening. I was actually doing a TikTok live during President Trump when he had the prime minister from Italy in the cabinet room, but then also when he took her to the Oval Office and then they hosted a press conference for the press. So I was watching that live. And not only did he give some very interesting comments on that, but he also talked about Jerome Powell, which I'm about to share here next. But first, Trump versus the clock. U.S. could run out of money by August. The U.S. government might hit oops, we're broke mode by August or even as soon as late May if Congress doesn't raise the $36.6 trillion debt ceiling. Thank you for the gifts there. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the love, guys. Everybody who's liked the video, thank you very much. The Congressional Budget Office says if tax money comes in light this spring, which we are anticipating that, the expectation is that they were going to lose significant amounts of revenue from this tax season, Treasury's cash stash could vanish faster than expected. If Trump and Congress don't sort it out, get ready for delayed checks, missed payments, and a government that starts ghosting its bills. Wall Street's already sweating. Credit watchdogs are lurking. TikTok DC. And I noted in my update earlier this morning that $34 billion got drained from the overnight repurchase agreement. That's the repo market, which is a liquidity backstop for the back end of the banks so that they can cover their butts. And it was at nearly $3 trillion over the past couple years. After it went to zero during the 2019, 2020, this got completely drained. This is the liquidity crisis that actually started to break in 2019 before March of 2020 events in the simulation, proceeded. The liquidity crisis was already well underway. Reverse repo went to zero, and it maintained that level for a while during 2020, but then eventually it worked back up because the Fed came in with the money printer going burr like never before. And so that overnight repurchase agreement fund actually went all the way up to $3 trillion, but now it's back down to $50 billion. $34 billion got drained from it yesterday. So the liquidity crisis is here, has everybody spooked, along with all the other uncertainty and the tariff talk, right? And it also takes us back to this debt that has to be rolled over. You're talking about the $36 trillion in national debt that our U.S. government has. And you're also talking about all the debt on our Treasury's balance sheet, all the bonds that they have to roll over. This is $7 trillion plus of bonds that Secretary Yellen, no telling Yellen under the Biden administration, they handed off a ticking time bomb to the tune of $7 trillion to Scott Bessent and the new Treasury. I mean, absolutely ridiculous, right? Talk about, passing the work off to the next guy. This is a $7 trillion ticking time bomb. And they have to refinance this, which is why President Trump is, saying Jerome Powell's late. We need to be bringing it down. We've already brought down inflation, which is tough to hear. You have to understand, we've been decoding the economic data. And so I understand why it's tough to hear him say inflation has come down. The rate of inflation is coming down. That is a fact. But the compounded aggregate inflation is why we're still bleeding at the gas pump, despite gas coming down. He's obsessed with eggs right now. Relatively speaking, though, everything else is still that compounding inflation has really added up. And so this is why we're all feeling it, right? The American household is feeling it. We got a debt ceiling crisis that's coming up again. And what's the proposal here? This big, beautiful bill that's going to add a significant amount to our deficit, a significant amount to our debt. And I'd be worried because if you were the debtor that gave the United States credit, I'd be a little bit worried. I'd be a little bit concerned. And we're starting to see the credit watchdogs are already on it. But this is President Trump responding. If he asked Powell to leave the Fed, what would happen? Take a listen in on this one. Very interesting.
Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Jerome Powell, you said that the termination.
What's so interesting, though, is the Fed's not even constitutional. And so I was just laughing my butt off listening to Elizabeth Warren, who showed up on CNBC today for about a 15-minute interview. And it was during my lunch break, and I saw, oh, perfect. Give me something to laugh about. And so while I'm eating my lunch, I was watching Elizabeth Warren. And it's so interesting because on one end, it's the hypocrisy from Elizabeth Warren, again, that's just so disgusting. She talks about Trump and how, he talked to Tim Cook and Apple and how they were going to be exempt and how his buddies are going to be exempt, right? And basically how that's not free. That's not, free markets. That's picking winners and losers. But yet, on the other side here, Elizabeth Warren is deathly scared, and it's completely unconstitutional, she says, for Jerome Powell to be removed by President Trump. She says that he doesn't have the power to do it. It's unconstitutional. But that in itself is the largest monopoly when it comes to finances and money in the world, the Federal Reserve. Right? So she's all over Trump about picking winners and losers when he wants to exempt critical businesses and processes, basically products and services. This is for national security, right? And everybody who's not sitting at the table has a comment about what's happening at the table. I find it rather hilarious. Elizabeth Warren has never done a business transaction in her life other than letting her pockets get stuffed by the banksters, the same banksters that own that private monopoly on monetary policy and money, which is the Federal Reserve. So it's this hypocrisy again from Elizabeth Warren, and I'm watching this thing. If the Democrats want to keep allowing Elizabeth Warren to be the face, one of the faces of their party, I think that's going to be troublesome for them, because there's nothing coming from Elizabeth Warren I think that any American is overly impressed with, right? Her record of hypocrisy. Now she's putting forward another bill that she's co-authored, even though she's never passed a bill in her life. I don't think there's one. I'll have to go maybe somebody can fact check this for me. There's not one bill that she's sponsored that's ever passed. And so she's drafted this new bill to remove the power of President Trump to issue the tariffs, while arguing and saying that he doesn't have the power to issue the tariffs. It's like, okay, well, if he doesn't have the power to issue the tariffs, why are you having to draft up another bill to take away his power to do tariffs, right? If you've already given him the power, right, then that's why you would need a bill to remove that power. If he doesn't have the power, you wouldn't need the bill. But she's drafting another political bill, hoping and praying, and she very well could get some of these rhinos and some of these softies, and even the likes of Thomas Massey was actually in support of restricting the tariff ability of President Trump as well, too, right? And so maybe she will get a few votes. I don't think it's likely, but I'm watching this situation here. President Trump calling out Jerome Powell, calling out the Federal Reserve, and I'd like to see him go all the way. We need to audit the Fed. Folks, I saw the comments earlier. I was talking about how a Ripple board advisor member, I forget his name. He used to be basically a governor at the Bank of India, Central Bank of India. Now he's on the board of advisors at Ripple for their stablecoin. And he was the one who interviewed Jerome Powell yesterday at the Economic Club in New York. And I saw somebody commented, they said, Zach, you don't get it. The Federal Reserve's bad. We need to, Ripple needs to stay far away from them. Well, this is exactly what I've talked about with Trump and Ripple going to the World Economic Forum. With Trump, going and giving a speech, just destroying globalism straight to their face. And in fact, I love these negotiations and these pressers that he's doing in front of the press with the prime minister next to him. In the first meeting, he had all of his cabinet members there as well, too. This transparency. And at least we have somebody who's trying to cut a deal that benefits Americans for once, right? Now, we remain hopeful, and I remain critical of some of the things that is happening right now, but at least we're moving in that direction of we have to expose all of this for the masses. Most people don't even know what the Federal Reserve is. How can you get to a point of, demanding an audit of an institution where half of America doesn't even know what it is? That's how far gone we are. And so this process is going to take some time, but I think that we are moving in the right direction. And, we're seeing the SEC is definitely on that way, definitely taking a new direction. The SEC announced it will be hosting its third crypto roundtable to discuss crypto custody on April 25th. Industry insiders from Kraken, Exodus, and Anchorage Digital are among the panelists participating. Okay. So we have another roundtable here at the SEC. And I think they have another 2 scheduled. So I do plan on live streaming this one. This will be next week. I think that's going to be a Friday, I believe, Friday, April 25th. So yeah, I'd like to live stream that one. So mark your calendars, April 25th. We'll be covering that one. But folks, here's the thing. Before I continue on into the crypto update, I just want to say this. We have a lot to unwind. We have a lot to fix. This is going to be bumpy. It's not going to be overnight. And I was just talking with some community members today about how frustrating it is. It's almost like it's difficult to celebrate the XRP, just being above $2 because everybody wants more, but also because that world around us is going to, it's been going to hell in a handbasket for a long time, right? And I was talking with some community members about this, right? How it's tough when, our XRP investment's up, but other aspects of our life, we're still feeling it. You're seeing situations around you, right? I'm one of the biggest things that I like to observe is the local small businesses in my area. I talk to community members across the country. We actually got an international community too that's chiming in. And despite us making progress in the United States, there's many other countries that are still really in the middle of this struggle too. And some are ahead, some are further behind. It's a global entity of central bank control. And this is, the debt instruments, the debt-backed fiat instruments that they've used to control us that we're trying to get away from. And you have the, chairman of the Federal Reserve yesterday, Jerome Powell, saying that, yes, crypto is here to stay. Crypto is legit. We are past the days of, these FTXs and whatnot blowing up, even though, and he didn't say that, but basically he's saying we're past, all these bad things. And so just consider how far we've come, and it is going to get better, right? But this year, right, we said survive till 2025. And now I'm starting to think that we should have been saying survive through 2025, because although XRP's gone up and some of our utility cryptos have appreciated significantly, and we will see this bull run continue throughout this year, in the real economy, there's still a lot to sort out. In the traditional stock market, there's a lot to sort out. The bond market is blowing up. Our real estate market is already in a reset. And this is on top of the fiscal situation of the United States government, on top of the political chaos, which I'm not even really touching on. And I'm talking about all of the ways in which they seek to divide us. But that's why cryptocurrency is so powerful, right? This isn't just a pipe dream. This is actually how we level the playing field, which is all we've been fighting for and will continue to fight for. Now, I want to get into this Hidden Road, one of the largest acquisitions in the history of cryptocurrency space so far, done by, of course, Ripple. And now they've been awarded a broker-dealer license. This is a massive deal. But Bill Morgan, or I guess before I get there, real quick point on the case, because a lot of people are getting impatient on the case. I get it. Bill Morgan says there's some work to do. It takes time from Stuart Alderati, all subject to commission vote, drafting of the final documents, and usual court processes. So basically, we're waiting for it. Got sent back to Judge Torres at the Second Circuit for her to lift the injunction. Right, that's what we need to happen, is for her to lift the injunction, and then the SEC and Ripple can come to that settlement where Ripple's going to pay $50 million. They're going to take $75 million and the interest back, and they will only pay a $50 million fine. So there's still some things to sort out here, but this case is over. We're waiting for the official announcement. And like I said, I think that you're going to have people that are going to miss this one completely because they're thinking that they have way more time than they do have. There's still folks that think that this case is not over, right? And technically over, no. Headlines across CNN, not yet. But by that time, it's too late. It's too late. So I would prepare yourself right now. Now, Bill Morgan says, and despite the contents, post-settlement activity will happen on the XRP ledger, not the Bitcoin blockchain. The image in your post of the article focuses on BTC. Now, he's calling out Bloomberg right here. I'm going to show you, because on their article, for their thumbnail, XRP is not even visible. They have Bitcoin in a big green bubble up at 103,000. It's been a couple months since Bitcoin was at 103,000. So who's doing the thumbnails at Bloomberg? I mean, goodness gracious. But it's all part of the suppression, right? You have bullish news for Ripple XRP. Nothing to do with Bitcoin. But what's the thumbnail? Big green bubble of Bitcoin at 103,000. All part of the suppression. And you see they got Pepe, they got the crypto bubbles here. Uniswap, Crow, Pepe, Tron, BNB. Who did this? Can Bloomberg please fire whoever picked this thumbnail? Or maybe that's the plan all along, to keep XRP suppressed until they're ready, until it's time to really flip it, and then they let it breathe. But folks, this is an absolutely massive deal. Hidden Road received a license to operate as a broker-dealer, part of the firm's expansion of its prime brokerage business to reach more institutional investors. Let's take a look at this article here from Bloomberg. Now, Hidden Road wins broker-dealer license after Ripple acquisition. Okay. This is part of the firm's expansion of its prime brokerage business to reach more institutional investors. The company, which last week announced its acquisition by digital asset firm Ripple, got the approval from the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, according to Hidden Road President Noel Kimmel. The move enables us to transact as a much broader universe of customers. Kimmel said in an interview, adding that it's a next step as we build out the platform. By gaining the broker-dealer registration with FINRA, Hidden Road can provide both current and new institutional investors with prime brokerage, clearing, and financing services across fixed income assets, according to Kimmel. The goal, he said, is to be a full-service, non-bank brokerage firm across asset classes. And remember, you're combining this with Ripple's custody service, which is a trust company. So, once again, a non-bank brokerage firm that also provides institutional grade custody. And there's more too. Hidden Road, which focuses on digital assets and foreign exchange, was founded in 2018 by Mark Ashe, who previously worked for hedge fund billionaire Stephen Cohen's firms, SAC Capital and Point72 Asset Management. Hidden Road raised $50 million in a Series A funding round in 2022 that included investments from Citadel Securities and crypto firms such as Coinbase Ventures and Wintermute. Last week, the company announced it was being acquired by Ripple for $1.25 billion, the largest deal ever for the digital asset company, and Bloomberg should have added that this was one of the largest deals ever done by a crypto company ever. Right? This is not just the biggest deal ever for Ripple. This is one of the biggest deals we've ever seen in the crypto space. Hidden Road said it will use Ripple's ROUSD stablecoin as collateral for its prime brokerage products and move its post-trade activity to the XRP Ledger blockchain. Finally, we're getting a little shout out for XRP Ledger. Finally. Hidden Road said it will use Ripple's ROUSD stablecoin as collateral for its prime brokerage products and move its post-trade activity to the XRP Ledger blockchain. For all those folks who said, oh, Ripple's partnered up with all these banks, all these institutions. Well, first, they denied that they were even working with banks. Oh, no banks are using XRP. No banks are working with Ripple. And then once you show them the list of 400 plus banks and institutions, then they say, oh, they're partnered up with Ripple, but they're not using the XRP Ledger. And then we, run the clips back of Brad Garlinghouse saying that half of Ripple payments was going through on-demand liquidity. This was a few years ago. And now we have David Schwartz saying that a portion of this liquidity is going to be running on the XRP Ledger. And the collateral for the prime brokerage products is going to be ROUSD as well too. Right? So for all those folks, boy, has that narrative fallen apart. All the fudsters that tried to say that banks were never going to use XRP, institutions were never going to use XRP. Kimmel said that the transaction will expand Hidden Road's capital base using Ripple's larger balance sheet. We were limited by our size prior to the deal. Prime brokerages offer services including financing, securities lending, and custody to help investors manage risk and execute trades. Crypto prime brokerages such as Hidden Road gained more attention after the collapse of FTX in 2022, since they take on counterparty risk on behalf of clients in an asset class where traditional banks aren't present for now. We know they're coming. As a non-bank, Hidden Road provides prime brokerage services in traditional markets such as FX, as well as digital assets. It moved into fixed income following the firm's approval to become a fixed income clearing corporation, clearing member. Plans call for providing fixed income repurchase agreements and global funding services and expanding to clear fixed income products later in the year, Bloomberg reported last month. So, for those of you wondering what fixed income products are, it's essentially, it relates to and refers to the bond market, corporate bonds and treasuries, okay? Government treasuries and corporate bonds. Now, it also includes other products too, right? So I went to Google and I just asked, what are fixed income products? And here's the response that I got. Let me see if I can show you this right here. Look at this. This is a lot. Corporate bonds, CDs, individual bonds, money market funds, treasury notes, I guess certificate of deposit, CDs. I thought that was the same thing, but yeah, bonds, bond funds, other fixed income securities. Think of, dividends, dividend paying stocks, mortgage-backed securities, asset-backed securities, fixed and annuities, municipal bonds, treasury bills, U.S. treasuries, preferred stock, mutual funds, treasury inflation-protected securities. I went to Grok and I asked Grok, how big is the fixed income market? It's tough to track because you actually get into the derivatives once again. And we've talked about the derivatives market. See, you got the stock market, the bond market, and essentially it's all, stocks are in the hundreds of trillions, bonds, hundreds of trillions, and the derivatives for these products goes into the quadrillions. It's called the shadow asset class because they can't even track it. So how big is this market? How big is it potentially? Not only is it hundreds of trillions conservatively, we can't track how far into the quadrillions. That would be quadrillions with a Q. You did not hear me stutter. Not billions with a B. Not trillions with a T. Quadrillions with a Q. We can't tell how far into the quadrillions this goes because it's a shadow asset class. But look at what Grok had to say right here. The global fixed income market, often referred to as the bond market, is vast and includes various debt instruments like government bonds, corporate bonds, municipal bonds, and asset-backed securities. Estimates of its size vary depending on the source and methodology, but recent data provides a range. As of August 2020, the International Capital Market Association estimated the global bonds market notional outstanding value at approximately $128 trillion. 87.5 trillion in sovereign, supranational, and agency bonds, and 40.9 trillion in corporate bonds. More recent estimates, such as 2021 figure from Securities Industry and Financial Market Association, suggest the global bond market was around 119 trillion, with the U.S. market alone at 46 trillion. Posts on X from 2022 to 2025 estimate the bond market's value between 130 trillion and 148 trillion. Reflecting growth and differing valuation approaches. Just to make it simple, we're well into the hundreds of trillions, conservatively, on paper, that we can actually track. How far into the quadrillions with a Q are we? We're not going to know till the derivatives market blows up, which is very well, right around the corner, part of the global margin call that we're kind of watching unfold. And they're trying to land this plane softly without blowing up the whole system with that global margin call. But this is what Hidden Road now has full exposure to. Now, does Hidden Road do all 128 trillion or 150 trillion or all of the bond market? No. But what we do know is that before Hidden Road had access to brokerage services for all these products, they were already doing 3 trillion yearly. So we already know that Hidden Road has a few trillion moving through their systems before this acquisition of a broker-dealer license. Now, our good friend Jake Claver, what he have to say about this deal? He says this broker-dealer license is a huge deal since it opens the door for institutions like hedge funds and market makers to engage with digital assets, including XRP, through a fully licensed U.S. partner. That means they now have access to financing, custody, and clearing services in a one-stop shop. It makes me think of Brad Garlinghouse, how he keeps on pounding it into us that we're underestimating the U.S. market unlock, right? And what this does. Now, think about this. This is a company that's already got a huge list of clients. But you combine this, right, where Ripple already has their list of clients. This is the power of acquisition. And this is exactly why on Tuesday's night live show, I titled it Ripple Takes Quantum Leap with XRP. Quantum Leap Advantage is the program that I've been taught by my mentor, Dan Pena. And it's about acquisition. It's about quantum growth, not 1 + 1 = 2, right? It's 10 times 10 = 100, right? It's 0 to 100 real quick. We don't build it step by step. We go out and acquire it. And so Ripple took a massive quantum leap with this acquisition. And now we're finding out that it's even better than our first initial read on this one. It's even better because now they have access to sell these products that are literally in the hundreds of trillions and quadrillions of dollars. And folks laughed us out of the room. Folks said that I should be shut down. Folks said the worst things possible about me, just simply for suggesting that trillions would be coming and settling on the XRP ledger. Well, who's laughing now? Now, Vet put out a good post right here, very fitting. He put this one out. For XRP to be used a lot by market makers to provide liquidity, the XRP ledger needs a lot of issued tokens that have economic value. The higher the issuer quality, the better, obviously. Without it, the XRP ledger, which in it of itself is a DEX, can't play out its full strengths. This is where I've been talking about Ripple laying the blueprint with ROUSD for RWAs on the XRP ledger. Not just on the XRP ledger, but anybody who's tokenizing RWAs on chain. Ripple is setting the standard because they have no counterparty risk holding the collateral within their own trust company. So while, companies like Circle got exposed during the banking crisis of 2023 because they had $3 billion of their collateral at Silicon Valley Bank, Ripple doesn't have that concern. Nobody has to have that concern with Ripple because they have no counterparty risk for their collateral. They already have their trust company. They essentially are a bank. They can offer nearly every service and product that a bank can provide, but note how they're doing it on a wholesale level. Right? We've talked about how, people said XRP isn't for retail. Right? Folks said, XRP is not meant for us. XRP is not meant for retail. Anybody can get access to XRP. That's a fact. But what has Ripple been focused on? Wholesale. Right? Ripple's been focused on institution. And they've already partnered up with a bunch of banks and institutions. Now they've acquired this company, which expands another vertical for them as a prime brokerage service for all of their institutional clients that they already have and the new ones that they've acquired. And now as they become the darling of Wall Street on their road to going public, probably next year, it's all eyes on this company. It's all eyes now coming to the XRP ledger. And as XRP continues with this bull run, I've already talked about how XRP's in control. We're going to go take Ethereum's lunch and then some. And all we've ever wanted was to compete on a level playing field. It's not that we want anything bad to happen to the rest of the space. We've been fighting on behalf of the entire space, trying to let that rising tide lift all boats. Meanwhile, we're taking shots from the Bitcoin maxis, the ETH gang. We're taking shots from everybody else, even though we're defending our entire industry. Not only defending our entire industry, still have enough cash to make massive acquisitions like this one. Now, final point on XRP, and I mentioned this earlier, you got some folks that are just going to get smacked with this one. And it's going to hit hard because these guys don't even think it's possible for XRP to flip Ethereum. They don't even think it's possible. Now, they have no reason. They have no real analysis. They're probably letting their bags talk a little bit. But they're going to be smacked with the truth and with a chart of XRP surpassing Ethereum not too distant future. I reminded everybody today, XRP will flip Ethereum with ease. Today, Ethereum sits at a $190 billion market cap. XRP was at a 195 billion market cap just 3 months ago, right in the middle of January, when XRP went up to about $3.30, $3.40. That's when it was up at 190 billion. Okay, so we were literally just there a few months ago. The level that Ethereum is at right now. Does Ethereum have any momentum at all? No. None. Their ecosystem is in shambles. I'm seeing validators drop off. Obviously, the ETH free pass effect has wore off during the second Trump administration. And as I commented earlier, Vitalik's not at Mar-a-Lago. Vitalik's not buddy-buddy with Trump like Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderoty is. Vitalik and the ETH Foundation, they didn't donate to the Trump campaign. Fatal mistake. In fact, they probably were doing some other things. And there's a big difference here that's taking place right now. With the ETH ecosystem struggling and XRP still so much momentum behind it, we are going to be sucking up liquidity from Ethereum. We're going to be sucking up liquidity from Solana, I should say. We're going to be sucking up liquidity from the memes on both of those chains and others. XRP is running the show right now. I'll give Bitcoin credit. Bitcoin is holding strong. It really is. I will give it credit for that. Is the upside potential on Bitcoin anything that excites me? Absolutely not. Which is why I don't care to own it. I don't own any Bitcoin. I don't care to. The upside potential on it is so limited compared to other crypto opportunities, in my opinion. Now, the upside on it compared to stocks, it's something to weigh. But I'll be sticking to utility cryptocurrencies that are based in America that have significant upside to go. And I think that people just start overlooking how easy this is going to be. Because if you look at this chart right here that I have, this is the XRP market cap chart. Back in January, we were up here at 195 billion. But the reason why I have all of these measurements, you see all these measurements on my chart? These are all measurements that I've been taking while doing my market cap multiplier calculation. And this one right here, 44 billion of market cap growth, that was only off of 27 million of net inflows into XRP. Now, that doesn't include the futures market, and you definitely had people that were going long XRP after Trump put out the tweet, XRP is going to be in the reserve. But right now, we're only 70 billion away from flipping ETH. And in that example right there, we did 40 billion in market cap growth in a couple hours after Trump put out one tweet. So it is not going to take much for this to take place. Now, I want to talk about this project that's also been going on a tear right now. This is something that we talked about yesterday. It's the Zebek network is the blockchain, and the ticker is ZBCN. I put out this tweet today. ZBCN up over 30% since yesterday. Massive, massive green candle came in on this one. I'm going to show you the market cap chart here on Zebek. We were looking at this one yesterday. It was down below 70 million. Well, today, this thing flew all the way up over 85, almost 86 million, almost 20 million in market cap growth just in the past day or so. Significant move on this small cap. Now, note right here that this market cap on Zebek here is only 78 million right now. Right? When I made my video yesterday, it was 70 million. And I put out my video and I explained it. I put out a tweet and I explained it. I said, guys, this thing's only at a 70 million market cap. It is not going to take much liquidity to move it. And sure enough, now on Zebek, I can't track all of the inflows because it's not on CoinGlass. So CoinGlass is my resource that collects and collects all this data on the inflows, and it also collects all the data on the perpetual futures markets. And so it gives you good data to work with when you're trying to calculate that market cap multiplier. But because Zebek it's a coin that's been around for a while, but it got kind of rebranded, I think at the end of 2023 or 2020 or beginning of 2024. And for whatever reason, CoinGlass only has exchange data from like a couple exchanges and like one futures market or a couple futures markets. So I just don't have the data that I need to calculate the market cap multiplier on Zebek. But you just know, I mean, you're looking at an asset like XRP that's at over 100 billion market cap, and versus an asset like Zebek, which is at a 70 million market cap. I mean, it's just not even close. And so it's going to take far less liquidity coming in to move that price up. And that's what we saw today, right? We saw that today. And I'm going to be doing a full deep dive on this project, but I do want to give you the full snapshot here on this one, on this chart here for ZBCN. Up 41% since the Tuesday low. So the past couple of days, this thing really started to move. But it's been bleeding, right? This thing's really been bleeding. Let me be clear, right? I mean, was this the coin to buy earlier this year? No. I did it have a good pump after the Trump election? Not really, right? If you go back, here's November. You look, it only pumped about 70% to start. But then it did go up all the way up to here, only about 140%. So the Trump pump for this coin was not that good. Really wasn't. But what I'm looking at right here, and you see this chart goes all the way back to May. This is Zebek protocol versus Tether on Gate.io. This is not on Coinbase. This is not on Binance. They still haven't made it onto those exchanges yet, which is another bullish catalyst right around the corner. I've pulled two fibs, one from the highs when it first launched, or rebranded, I should say. And I pulled that fib to see where it could take us to. And it takes us right above 1 penny. And I pulled this fib off this most recent correction since February highs of 0.002. Right, then it bled out, came back significantly. But we're watching the bounce already up 41% from this low. And to me, it looks like we've timed out the bottom on this one pretty good. It's already started to bounce. But even just going up to the high that it hit when it first rebranded, up to this level here of 0.003, you're looking at a 270% move from where we were at yesterday when I first talked about it. That's not bad. But I'm looking on this fib retracement. I mean, if it does go up to these levels here, the 2618, you're talking about a 370%. Up to the 3618, you're talking about 500%. And so this is right into my sweet spot. I've been talking about, I'm looking for projects that will give me about 3 to 5x, right? 3 to 500% gains. Obviously, I'd love to have more, and we very well could see more on this coin. But just on the conservative side, we're looking at, wow, just doing a little something here, just heating up a little bit. We got a 3 to 5 banger waiting for us. That's the opportunities I'm looking for, right? Utilities based in America. It checked off all the boxes. Am I excited about this project as I am XRP? Absolutely not. It's not even close. Not even close. But they're solving a real problem. They have something cooking. I think that we found the bottom. Now it has momentum. And it has not been covered by major influencers. This thing is really under the radar. And so in my deep dive on this coin, I'm going to lay out the full case on why I think it's so bullish and everything that's been going on in their ecosystem. But I wanted to let everybody know yesterday. I'm bringing it back up again today to say I think we might have found ourselves a runner. I'm going to go back to the chart here real quick to show you, this thing. You talk about going up to these levels on the macro, the macro fib pulling all the way back here. I mean, you're talking about 700, 800, 10 bagger. We're talking about having some fun, really knocking it out of the park. So you guys let me know what you think about that one. At this point, I want to open it up for Q&A. I appreciate everybody for stopping by tonight. Thank you so much for your support. This is not what I wanted to do. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you have liked this video. Help us out by sharing it out. And all of my community resources are available at zachrector.com. Okay? Let's get back into it. Where are we at in the chat? I saw we did get a super chat. Let's go back here. Chosen One Collecting. Why they delay the case again? Wasn't there legal documentation stating that the case could be over by April 16? I feel that they can end it easily. So April 16th was the day that the SEC, that Ripple had to respond. But because they've come to that agreement to put the case on abeyance, basically put it on pause, Ripple didn't need to file their appeal brief yesterday. So that's why yesterday was a mute day, is because they'd already agreed to basically settle up and put the case on pause. So the case is already on pause. And so that's why April 16th didn't matter anymore. Now we just wait for them to finish the court proceedings, which is sending it back to the second. Remember, this case has moved from the second district to the Court of Appeals. Now at the Court of Appeals, they've accepted this abeyance. So they're sending it back down to Judge Torres, where she will rule whether or not she will lift that injunction and basically allow the SEC and Ripple to move forward with that settlement. And I don't see why she wouldn't. Right? You have two parties here that are willing to come to the table. Ripple's willing to admit wrongdoing and pay for that crime, which I've compared it to a speeding ticket in the securities world. That's all it is. It's a speeding ticket in the securities world. And so I don't see any reason why Judge Torres would not accept it. But we wait for that to be lifted. That injunction will be lifted. And then after that, the SEC and Ripple announcement can be made that the settlement has been reached. So I would look for this to be done in the next 60 days. Yeah, we're right there. I know we've been saying that, but we are here. It is over. This case is over. Yeah. So prepare yourself accordingly. Okay, let me get back to the chat here. Thank you for stopping by. How's everybody doing? I appreciate that. Tim Ives says, I understand that 99.99% of the world's population cannot own the amount of XRP in my cold storage wallet. Ain't it something? Fuzzy on the XRP ledger. Yeah, Fuzzy to me looks like a Zoo Cabal coin. For any of you guys that are in the XRP meme space, you might know what I'm talking about. Basically a group, the Zoo crew, basically got in on this project early, and whether or not they created it or not, it just looks like they've done a pretty good job of pumping it up. But I'm not going to be buying into the green candles, and I don't believe for 1 second that David Schwartz created that token. So I'm not buying Fuzzy on the XRPO. No. Thoughts on Alchemy Pay? Is that ACH? Is that which one that is? Deep Dive Proppy. Yeah, sure, I'll take a look at it. It's been on my list. It's a project that's been around for a while. Yeah, Alchemy Pay, ACH. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna like it. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think I'm gonna like it, but I'll take a look at it. Yeah. DigiByte, been around for a while. Cool little story. It's being pumped up again. What's it doing? Let me take a look at it right now. What's Digibyte doing? Boy, this sucker's beat up bad. It's at 170 million market cap, so it is a low cap gem, maybe. Wow, this thing's been crushed. Yeah, this thing's been crushed. The tokenomics are pretty good though, as far as like the full circulating supplies out there, from what I understand, what I'm looking at right here. Won't take much to pump this thing up. Being only 170 million. It is on Binance. I know it's on a lot of exchanges. Is it on Coinbase too? I don't know. It's interesting. Can they make a new coin? And no. I know everybody's worried about, are we going to get left behind? We're not. We're not going to get left behind on this one. What about XCN? Yeah, so it ran up pretty well. I took profits on it and still hold a bag. Oh, nice. It did bounce back over a penny. That's good. Good to see for XCN. Yeah, and I still think that you got some potential here on XCN. Yeah, you might still be able to hit one here on XCN for sure. Because I do think that it still can run up to maybe 10 cents or so. Yeah. Yep. So I still think you got an opportunity there. I don't really believe in the utility that they're building and everything that they got going on. It's all right, but they don't have any institutional adoption from what I can see. They got a staking program that's been spitting out good rewards, but the founder of Chain's long gone, from my understanding. He's no longer working on the project. I don't know who is. When I went to go look up the team and do the deep dive, it was one of the things that I pointed out is that, and now, of course, it's, decentralized. It's got this DAO. Once again, who's using the token that's moving serious liquidity? Nobody. A lot of companies partnered up with Chain in the past just to hype up their own company. They did deals with Tiffany and Company. They did deals with all these other. If you go to if you go to Chain's page, their web page, and you look at all their partners, there are all these like NFT partners that they had back in 21, 22, and I'm trying to remember one of their other big partners too, and they're nowhere to be. Well, some of them aren't working with them anymore. We know that. But then some of them did like one-off deals and then that was it. And so they still have it on their website and people are still citing these partners. But the Tiffany and Company deal was one NFT project and then that was it. So that's why you got to be careful in this crypto space because, you will get influencers that will take these narratives and they can still push these narratives. And this is something that I talk about in my deep dives when I say, guys, they have enough fundamentals, they have enough cooking to spread a narrative. Now, whether or not they actually follow up with that, we will see and I will cover. But right now, I can tell you that they have enough of a narrative to send it. And that's what I covered with XCN. And that's what happened with XCN. It ran up to about 5 cents and then sold back off. I still think it'll roll up to about 10 cents, but does it have staying power? Is it a long-term hold? Not in my portfolio. Yeah, Vegas is going to be a lot of fun. Don J, thank you for the 5 spot. Thoughts on Telcoin? Congressman Mike Flood has backed it big time. I like what I'm seeing. Some of the initial things that I've seen from Telcoin, I'm liking. as far as the momentum on the charts, I think that, it seems to be building some good structure right here. It had a massive Trump pump right here of 800%. And the thing that I like about TEL is that it did go and set it went and set another high. It went and set a second high. Only XRP, Telcoin, I think there's a couple others on my list did this. XLM did not. I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you go to XLM pumped 600% after the election up until the end of November, but then it's just been down since, and it did not go set a second high in January. Unlike XRP, which did set a second high in January. You see that? So I go back down to Telcoin, and one of the big catalysts here in February was the banking deal in Wyoming that Telcoin did. They got a bank, I guess. I think that they were awarded a bank charter or something like that. So I don't own any Telcoin right now. It's on my list to deep dive, but I'll let you guys know what I find on that one. Okay, yeah, 1970 legend. Yes, brother, I saw your message. Sorry, I had a very busy day today. I was on calls all day and then preparing the live show here tonight. But yeah, I'll shoot you a message after we get off this show here. Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your super chat, man. That's a big hundo, brother. Your support is incredible, and I thank you so much for it. Thank you. Thank you. I will get back to you. Nebraska. Was Telcoin in Nebraska? Okay. Yeah. There you go. Raul Moreno, thank you for the 5 spot. What are your thoughts on Loaded Lions? It's been doing good. Curious, does it have a future? Oh boy. Loaded Lions. Is this an NFT project? What the heck is this? What is Loaded Lions? Goodness gracious. Did this administration go backwards, or do you still think we're moving forward and this is all planned? It's a good question. I think that we're still moving forward, but our timeline, it's like our crypto projects, right? I compare it to me with Flare. I'm so frustrated with Flare. I've voiced my frustrations with Flare, but I still hold it and I still believe it's going to go. That's where I'm at with President Trump, his administration, and kind of everything that's going on in the current events. Where I'm frustrated, I'm getting very impatient, but I still am remaining hopeful. But I'll be the first to call out if things don't go as they should. There's some things that I'm seeing that I don't like. And there's definitely a lot that's not moving as fast as I would like it to. And honestly, I'd rather get some of those things done better, more so than I'd like to see my bags pump on some of these cryptos, right? I just use that as an example, but I'd rather save our country versus my Flare bag pump. But it's a good example of, although I am frustrated and we want to see that timeline collapse, like on Flare, for example, I've talked about how we need F assets, we need it now. But even though Flare is going to roll out F assets later this year, in the grand scheme of things, we still don't even have regulations, right? So are they late? Well, they're running behind. They're running behind schedule from what we would like and from what we want to see happen on that price chart. Are they going to be completely left behind and go to zero and fail? No. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the Trump administration. Are they going to be able to achieve everything in the second administration that I wanted them to? Probably not. But I have very high expectations for the second Trump administration. Very high. Why are coins like Maker so much more expensive than XRP? It just comes down to tokenomics. It just, there's less coins. Less coins. It just comes down to tokenomics. Is Loaded Lion the CRO staking? Yeah, no. I'm not in CRO. I'm not doing any staking like that. Most of the staking platforms are paying you out tokens, but if the underlying asset is continuing to fall in price, you're not gaining anything. So you got to be careful with all this staking. There's a lot of staking, a lot of DeFi coming to the XRP ledger, but really run the numbers. And the other thing to watch too is that these staking returns diminish over time as more and more people, stake. How do I feel about XDC? I think it's going 40 to 50 cents at its current price of 7 cents. That's a hell of an opportunity. I'd like to see more. They just are not communicating how they need more communication. Quincy can't be the only one that's talking about the project. It's one of the biggest mistakes that many projects make. You got to get the word out. And if you're not getting the word out, it's a concern. It's a big red flag because it means that you don't have anything to talk about. Most of the time in the cryptocurrency space, people are overhyping partnerships that are actually meaningless or don't actually accomplish much. But if you're just being silent in the crypto space, it's tough for me to believe the story of, oh, well, we're just cooking over here. Well, I'm not smelling anything good cooking. We need to see something. I don't need to see the price of XDC pump because you announced some hype thing. I want to know that you're getting adoption. And so that's the only thing that I'm really critical of XDC on right now. And the other problem is they're not based in the United States. That's another problem for XDC. What do I think of Axelar? Good. It's bullish. I don't own the token, but I like what they're doing. And I really actually probably should. I'm probably late to that one. Yeah. Thank you. The Positive Life. Thank you for that super chat. Yeah, Axelar. It's only at 270 million market cap too, so this thing won't take anything to move. Almost all of the circulating supply is out, so that's pretty good from a tokenomics standpoint. And it's only got 1.19 billion total supply. So at 28 cents right now, where did it peak out at? It peaked out here at 29 cents back in March of last year. Sorry. It peaked out at $2.66. So it went up to $2.66 a year ago. At 28 cents right now, that's nice. Not bad. After the election, it did pop up to about $1.13, but it's been bleeding out since. I didn't realize that they're listed on Binance, Coinbase. They're listed all over the place already. Yeah, this could be a really good interoperability play. Not only am I impressed with what they're doing on the XRP ledger, but there's more room for them too. Axelar. The ticker's AXL. It does have an ETF filing. Yep. With more banks coming on board with XRP, what timeline do you believe it will go up? June 15th or July 14th? I think we could go up at any point right now, honestly. We just have news catalysts like the case ending. You have ETFs. You have macro events that could occur. You have the next Fed meeting coming up in May. I'm looking for the market to rally in anticipation of a Fed rate cut in May. See if that potentially happens. That's one scenario that I'm looking at. The market's become desensitized to tariffs. So unless President Trump is going to do, basically bring the tariffs back on for everybody and up them, we're kind of desensitized to the tariff talk. So as far as catalysts to push us down lower, other than World War III going off, other than something bad happening, a black swan event did occur. It was the tariff trade war, and it went live Liberation Day. It spooked the markets, but we maintained, and we did not, go into a full-blown crash. We did have a significant pullback and entered corrective territory on many stocks. My outlook on the stock market remains pretty weak, although it probably could return as well too. At least certain stocks could. But really, I think that we've seen the worst of the storm. Other than any other one-off event that nukes the chart, that definitely is possible. And it won't last. So even if the charts do get nuked, the aliens do invade, it's not going to last long. This space has been legitimatized by everybody, right? Yeah, I could go acquire some Axelar. I don't like spreading myself too thin. It takes a lot to really understand each one of these investments. Like, at least to the level where I feel like I have real conviction. I don't like to just, I saw some so-and-so talked about this project and he's a nice guy. I trust him. Let me throw my money. I never do that. So, for me, I'm pretty picky and I don't like to spread myself thin. I don't throw myself, little baggies all over the place. Right? I don't do that. I don't do that. Which cold storage wallet do you recommend? I use EliPal, Ledger, Decent, and there's a few other good ones too. Yep. Zach, please go over how the Bitso ETF can have such a high dividend. What can we expect from the 17 to XRP ETFs? What creates a yield? Make a show about this. Love your show. I don't know what the BITO ETF is. I don't know what that is. But if it is, an ETF that allows you to own dividends, a dividend paying stock, maybe that's how. They've paused, or they what did they do? They delayed their response for allowing staking with the ETH ETFs. Excuse me. So we're still waiting for them to, allow that to go through. That would give you the ability to stake your Ethereum ETF. I don't know what the BITO ETF is. There is no staking on the XRP ledger. There is no proof of stake. There is no validation process that rewards validators. There is no incentive on the XRP ledger to run a validator. There's nothing to stake at all. So be careful, because everybody's coming into XRP Ledger ecosystem calling their program staking, when really all you're doing is lending your bag for them to go use that liquidity somewhere else to generate your yield. And they're going to do so in many different ways. You're seeing companies tokenizing stocks, precious metals, bonds. They're going to come up with a bunch of different ways. Some folks are just saying they're trading. They have quant traders that are going to trade for you. And so there is no staking on the XRP ledger. So I don't see how there would be any sort of staking on XRP ETF. But think about this for a second. With the price appreciation that we're looking at for XRP, right? If you're somebody that thinks that XRP is on its way to 20 or 30 bucks, why would you be worried about earning 5% on your XRP right now? What are we talking about? Right? Down the road? Yes. And I've told you guys, they're going to be across the table from you, everybody begging for your XRP, begging for your business. DeFi protocols, suits, money managers, ETFs, everybody's going to want to work with us. Banks are going to offer services, the ability to put your XRP up as collateral. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about how you're going to generate yield on XRP yet at this point. Everybody that's offering it is new. Nobody has a track record that's longer than any significant amount of time because all of these offerings are new. And so I would just say, remain patient, learn how to do due diligence on these platforms, and you can practice your due diligence on these platforms right now. But I don't want to have a conversation about earning 5% on my XRP when I'm expecting it to pump up to 20 or $30 by the end of this year into next year. I'm not interested in 5%. I'm not in crypto for 5%. So that's my thoughts on XRP staking. The Nerd Den, thank you for the 5 spot. My only concern with the XRP ETF is if the institution's issuing the ETF buy over the counter, it won't help the price as much as it should. It won't help the price as much as it should, but it still is locking up XRP. So we still run into that supply shock scenario that we've been talking about for a while, right? They have to physically back it. And the thing about these ETFs, they want to make them efficient. And so each share in these ETFs can be backed by 50 XRP, 100 XRP, 200 XRP. So you could see the supply shock still play out even though it's being sold OTC. Did I see Uphold's recent tweet? No, I didn't. What they put out now? Who's the intern at Uphold? Tim says, keep it coming, Zach. Bought ZBCN yesterday. Yeah, I think that you guys are going to be pleased when you look into that project. When you if you saw my video yesterday, and then when you watch my deep dive that I put out on Zebek, I think that you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised. You guys know me. I'm not here to hype up a little ticker to get a little extra liquidity. It's not what I do. I shared this with you guys because I think it's a real utility project, and you guys know how I feel about most of this space. I don't like it. So I think that this one's solid. XRP needs a better burn rate. Well, it needs more activity. More activity is going to lead to that burn rate. And so the thing about it is the more XRP is getting locked in that ETF, the more XRP is being locked in meme coins, the more XRP is being locked in NFTs, more XRP is being locked up in the metaverse, more XRP is being burned through the usage. You start to add all this up, and that's what leads to us to that supply shock scenario that I think eventually does play out for XRP. You have to consider, where's the XRP coming from to make it into the hands of retail? If Ripple's not selling XRP programmatically to exchanges, they're only selling XRP basically with their partners for on-demand liquidity. So that's XRP that's only going to bank and institutional partners for the foreseeable future, until if Ripple changes that strategy, then we'll have to note that. But for right now, they haven't sold programmatically to exchanges since 2019. So do you have XRP that's being, given to Uphold because Uphold is part of the on-demand liquidity network? Yes. Right? They're using that XRP in their on-demand liquidity flows. Does some get left over? Yes. But is it being made available for retail? That's the question that we have to ask. And Uphold Post, they have, I think, 4 or 5 billion at least XRP on their platform. They're a big holder of XRP. Well, the community members that hold their XRP on that platform are. But then, they also have XRP for their on-demand liquidity flows as well. And so, once again, when you got it locked up in these ETFs, it can't be used in liquidity. When you got XRP locked up in meme coins, it can't be used for liquidity, for ROUSD, for any other parts of Ripple's business that are going to use the XRP ledger, or anybody else that wants XRP to use it for their business. What was Uphold's most recent tweet? Your future bag is built with tonight's patience. Yeah. Yeah, Uphold. Uphold keeping us in the game. Shout out to Uphold. That's what it is, though, right? I mean, for me, I'm done packing XRP. I'm looking at other cryptocurrencies. I came across Zebek recently. I picked up a bag of DAG recently. I also added HBAR recently. What else did we add? I added a little bit more Sologenic. I have picked up some XRP memes. Not in a while, but I did pick up some XRP memes a couple months ago. Still hold them, and I think that they'll do fine. I'm actually, part of my strategy with some of the XRP memes that I hold is they're kind of a hedge against XRP because they're directly paired up against XRP. But yeah, that's the most recent projects that I've added to my portfolio has been Zebek, DAG, and HBAR, along with Sologenic, and then a couple other XRP memes have been my most recent pickups. Have I looked at Swiftcoin? So I haven't really looked at the project too seriously. I have the ticker on my charts on my trading view. I have it saved so I can watch it. I don't think that they're doing anything significant over there, to be honest with you. But remember, my opinion of a coin does not stop it from pumping. This thing already did a 14x after the election. But then this is what I worry about, is that 83% dump that followed, that 84% pullback. That's a big one. Now, it did get back above a penny. Kind of like XCN too, right? The charts on XCN and Swiftcoin, very similar. Yeah, Block V. Folks have asked me about Block V too. It's still trying to find a bottom right now, building up support. This is Zebek. Once again, I'm looking at this one here. You got some potential. No, I have not staked my ZBCN yet. No. Yep, I'm still getting my Flare airdrops on Uphold. Yep. Did I check Onyx Coin? Onyx Coin? Well, that's XCN, right? Yeah, I've just been talking about XCN. Silverado man asked me, appreciate the 5 spot. Would you sell that flat brim XRP hat you had in your previous background setup? That would be that one. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Send me an email at merch@zachrector.com. Email me merch@zachrector.com. We could probably do that. It is a 1 of 1. So the price is going to be 589 XRP. Just kidding. Just kidding. How many shares of XRP do I have? Tokens? Yeah, how many tokens do I have? I can't say how much XRP I have, but I can tell you that it's my biggest bag by far. By far. I don't even, well, I did see that you can stake Zebek. There was something on their Twitter page about you could stake it on their platform. I haven't looked into their staking. It's something that I forgot to mention. I actually have my blue slip right here that I made my video. I did my video on the truck yesterday, so I had my little notes. 1 billion stake though. I did forget to mention that in my video yesterday, that there is 1 billion that's already been staked on Zebek. So pretty strong. You need the email again? Yeah, it's just merch@zachrector.com. 1970 asks when FlexFit hats. We're working on it right now. In the next couple of days. Yeah, we're working on it right now. Inventory just got in. We had to pay the tariffs. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we should have it live in the next couple of days. Yeah, FlexFits, Richardson 112s, and then the Yapung snapbacks. Yep. Zach, what do you think of API 3, competitor to Chainlink? Haven't looked into it in depth. Yeah, really haven't looked at it. Zach, you were in a documentary a while back. People should look into it. What'd you say here? You're in a documentary a while back about crypto. It was a great documentary. New folks should get into it and watch it. Yeah, I've been actually meaning to hit up Maya and Chris and see what the status is on the XRP Unleashed documentary. Yeah. We got to get it out. We got to get the word out. We got to get it out, especially now that the case is coming to a conclusion, right? Because I felt like that was the only thing, like at the end of the movie, you know, we had made that progress. You know, President Trump had won, XRP started to move, some good things were happening, but now we know that the case is over. Now we know that it's done. Like that was the final touch that we can now add to it. And so I'd love to see him get it out. I'd love to see, you know, the ending, the final rolling scenes. The case was finally settled. Maybe they're waiting for that. I know that Amazon's pretty ruthless. I was talking with Chris and Maya about it, and you know they want to take a lot of money to list it on Amazon, and you know, so we wanted to get them basically the money that they put into the documentary. We wanted to make sure that they made their money back at least, but in an effort to get it to go viral, I would love to see it on some platforms here soon. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Stu, appreciate you, brother. Glad to add you as a mod on the channel too. I was just talking about that with Chad today. So we'll keep that chat nice and tight for us. You know, we let the trolls run free a little bit, but I was telling the trolls earlier today, you got to get your game up a little bit. We got some guys that have been saying the same thing at me for the past 4 years. It's like, come on, give me something new, you know? Okay. But Stu, you look good there as a mod. Appreciate that. $30 Aussie bucks. God bless you guys in the land down under. Good Friday here. Daughter's 19th birthday. Happy, safe Easter, Zach, and all. Cheers. Cheers, brother. God bless you. Can't wait to see you in Vegas. It's going to be a pleasure meeting you. Sologenic or Solana, what's best to drop extra cash on? Good question. I can't give you financial advice. Hey, Megan, by the way, I did send you a message on TikTok shop about your order. Okay. And so we're reaching out to everybody that purchased an order last live show that we're including a free dog tag for everybody that had placed an order for last week. And so you should be receiving a message, and that's merch@zachrector.com, that will be reaching out and we'll be asking you which one you want. I only have 25 of each though. So first come, first serve as far as if, you tell me which one you want, but I'm going to have to call Tyler up and get some more here shortly. But Stu, God bless you. God bless your daughter. Happy birthday to her. 19. I don't know if you can have an adult beverage in Australia at 19. I know you can in Canada. Spent some of my youth up there at 19. Raul Moreno, thank you for the 10 spot. I'm new to crypto, started in December 28th, bought high. I am DCA and slowly, XRP, XLM, HBAR, Quant, SWI, XLR, plus much more mainly USA-based crypto. Just love your wisdom. Did I make good choices? Yes, you did. Yeah. And that was one of the things that I was able to check off on that Zebek network too, was that it was based in America, which that's what I'm honing in right now. Real utility based in America. Zebek already has momentum behind it too. That's what we like to see. And so, yeah, I think you got a good bag there. Yeah, I mean, SWI is one that I don't own. Axler is one that I don't own. And Quant, I don't own any Quant. But I do think that you'll see a move on all three of those. Yeah. And out of those three, Axler, I should say, is the one that I'm probably most interested in those three. Thank you. Zach, what would you say is a good sized bag of XRP? Yeah, I would say, it's all relative, right? People can have 100,000 XRP, but blow it all, right? They could sell it all when it goes to $5, cash out, have a good time, and it's all gone in no time. Right? And then a lot of people will do that probably. One thing that I will know and say here is that there's only 6 million wallets on the XRP ledger. So you have less than 5 million people. I can say that pretty comfortably because pretty much everybody has a couple XRP wallets. So I would say conservatively, there's less than 5 million people in here. Maybe only like 3 or 4 million. So we are part of such a small group. So even if you have 10,000 XRP, like you might be able to do something significant with that. And even with the smaller bag than that, it could still be life-changing gains for you, right? Somebody who can, and really, we go to an area, some folks have talked about this, we've talked about this in the past too, where it's not even accessible to retail anymore. So it's like your 1,000 XRP might not seem much, but do we enter a reality where folks just can't even get access to it anymore? And it is at a ridiculous price. Quote unquote, ridiculous price. That's a potential scenario. So I can't really answer what a good size bag is just because it's all relative to you. And it's also relative to how you're going to handle it. Some folks have 1 million XRP, they'll blow it. Thoughts on Caleb and Brown? I love the experience that I've had has been great. And everybody else that I've been hearing from has loved it as well too. And really, that's another shout out to the community. I really wouldn't have known about Caleb and Brown if it wasn't for you guys. I bought Zebek on Caleb and Brown. Flawless experience. I'm going to be selling some of my XRP this bull run on Caleb and Brown. But I've started to pick up Zebek. Was the first crypto that I've bought on Caleb and Brown. So on Caleb and Brown, I just have XRP and now Zebek. Yep. Yeah, big fan. Especially for new people that need their hand held. Right? Respectfully, I get it. A lot of people coming in, not tech savvy. It's confusing. This is where somebody like Caleb and Brown can help you cover it all, make it easy, do it over the phone, talk to a real person. Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is getting on the phone with you in this business, right? Unless you have $1 million plus. Thoughts on Swift in April 21st? Why is everybody getting hyped about Swift and XRP all of a sudden again? I was going to ask Twitter that. I don't know what all the hype is about, all the commotion. Crypto Poor, yeah, we're getting the dog tags listed on the website. Reach out. We'll have it on the website in the next day or so. Yeah, we'll probably have it on there in the next couple of days. I'll have it on my TikTok shop tomorrow. I'm uploading them to my TikTok shop tomorrow. And by the way, guys, we had I only got so many of these, and I'm almost sold out already. Which I gave most of them away in our last show, right? So I ordered 50 and 25 of each, 25 of the XRP family and 25 of the Better Bitcoin. We had over a couple dozen orders come in on last live show, so I already got wiped out. So we'll see. I kind of wanted to gauge and see how much you guys were going to like the dog tags, but it seems like folks were wanting to get some, so I'll let you know. But yeah. People are getting hyped because they don't realize ISO 222 was moved to July. Yeah, see, and that's what I've been saying is just throw out the ISO dates. I don't pay attention to them anymore. I think that they're irrelevant at this point. The systems are upgrading. They're upgrading now. At the end of the day, we need inflows into the asset. That's what's going to move XRP. We need inflows. And if they're not coming from retail, we need them from institutional. And ideally, we get them from both. And so far, that's what we're seeing. I think that once the ETFs go live, the institutional inflows can ramp up dramatically. Retail only has so much money. Institutions have struggled to get access without ETFs. They no longer will struggle after the ETFs go live. Hello, Zach. What do you think of using an LLC to cash out? Big fan of using entities in preferred, tax-preferred jurisdictions. Big fan. Setting that up for myself right now. Big fan. Thoughts on CTF token? I think it's a scam. If you just look at how it's marketed and who it's marketed by, that will give you your answer. What's this weekend have coming for XRP, short or long? So I don't trade futures on XRP. I just have accumulated a spot position. As far as this weekend, I don't know anything in particular that will move us. But I do expect that the crypto market is going to recover here shortly and start to be moving up. For XRP, I expect it to happen very soon. Yeah. ETFs didn't do anything for Ethereum because nobody wants ETH. ETH sucks. The ecosystem's in shambles. It's still expensive. ETH 2.0 was one of the biggest flops when it comes to upgrades in the cryptocurrency space. That's why the ETH ETFs didn't do anything for ETH. It's not going to be the case for XRP. It's going to be quite different. It's a good point. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Fernando. It's a good point. The ETFs didn't do anything for ETH, but this is different. The ETFs did do something for Bitcoin. They set history for Bitcoin. Bitcoin had never hit an all-time high before the halving, and that's what happened after the ETFs went live last year. ETFs went live in January. Market came down, by the way. Buy the rumor, sell the news. I warned everybody about that one. 49,000 down to 38,000. But then after that, Bitcoin did go to a new all-time high before the halving in March of 2024, 74,000. It had never done that. The ETF helped that. And I think that the firms are looking at the success of the Bitcoin ETFs. They're looking at how big the appetite is for XRP. And I think that they can't wait to go live with these XRP ETFs. If you look at the company that did the first XRP ETF last week, they've already reported that it was their most successful fund ever. So as word spreads around Wall Street of, yeah, man. I mean, you got to think about this. They're talking about this over golf. They're talking about this over lunch. They're talking about this in the boardrooms. Yeah, we just launched the XRP ETF. It was our most successful fund ever. As word starts to spread around Wall Street, I've been talking about how Ripple becomes the darling of Wall Street looking at this cryptocurrency space, and Ripple is going to be the cleanest project and company in the space by far. Zach, you look spent. Please go to bed. We need you healthy. Yeah, I got a workout in before this live show. So that's probably why I look a little bit beat right now, is because I did get a nice pump in. Had a really nice, good pump, actually. That was a good one. Yep. Want to make sure I didn't lose another chat. No, we're all good. Okay. Okay, we're all good. Who is XRP's biggest competitor you are worried about? I don't really see any competition for XRP in the crypto space. I see competition for XRP really from TradeFi. And the main competition would be for stablecoins. Stablecoins by traditional institutions would probably be the biggest threat to XRP. The problem is that nobody has created a neutral bridge currency like XRP, right? So as long as you're willing to accept each other's stablecoins, you're good to go. But if you're not, and as we know right now we're in the middle of a currency war, that's where you need that bridge currency that's neutral. That's what XRP provides. There's nothing neutral about the US dollar or any other fiat-backed stablecoin. And so that's the problem that none of those stablecoins replace. There's no neutrality in them. What's Dan Pena buying? My mentor, Dan Pena, he has nothing good to say about crypto. I mean, he's kind of opened up a little. I think he enjoys it because some of his mentees have used crypto gains to pay for their way to the castle and to pay him. But no, he's not big on crypto at all. He's in all cash. He says that it's taken him a better part of a decade to actually sell off all of his assets. He's sold off properties all over the place. Cars, all the stuff that they had. They've been downsizing and scaling. He's an old man now. He's over 77, I think almost 78 years old now. So he's scaling back everything in his life. And he's like Warren Buffett. He's just in cash. I seriously need a one-on-one crypto coach. Raul, I do offer one-on-ones. I won't give you financial advice. But if you want to sit down and have a conversation, you can do so. Or if you come into our Discord group, you access that through Patreon to get into Discord. I'm an open book in there. You can message me in there. You can join us in our weekly calls every single week. And so that's an investment that you can make in yourself, become part of a community, but also get access to me. So if you want a one-on-one, we can do that. Or if you want to come into our group, we can provide additional content. Or you can just make sure that you've subscribed, hit that notification bell, make sure you don't miss any of our updates, and we'll keep them coming this way. But if you want to speed up the process, we can take you from point, A to Z right away. Okay. Yeah, I'm having a little issue here. Let me refresh this. Let me pull this back up. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I got the chat here. That's all we need. All we need is a chat, right? I need that too. Just started trading today. Yeah. That documentary's on YouTube. Can you send me the link? Because it shouldn't be. The documentary should not be on YouTube. Okay, so yeah, that's copyright. Shouldn't be there. I've already sent a few YouTube links to Chris and Maya to let them know that people have pirated the documentary and put it online. Which I get it. You know, everybody wants something for free, but you know, I personally know that Chris and Maya spent a lot of XRP, a lot of money to put it out, and so I understand why they want to protect their work. What they've done is pretty special. But yeah, so it shouldn't be on YouTube. Okay. What do the dog tags look like? I couldn't see anything. Okay, here you go. See that? We got the XRP family, and we got the better Bitcoin. All right, guys. Hey, it's been a pleasure tonight. We're going to be back tomorrow. We actually have, I got an interesting video lined up for tomorrow, so I'm excited to share that one with you guys. But I hope that everybody appreciated this live show tonight. We're going to be back for our Saturday weekly Discord call too. So that's coming up here in a couple days. If you have any questions or comments, topics that you want me to cover for the Discord weekly call, now's the time to send me the message on that. Get in the group. You do so through access on Patreon to get you in the Discord group. We would love to have you there. I'd also like to warn everybody, please watch out for impersonators and scammers. We will not trade for you. We will not WhatsApp you. I will not DM you. The only place to reach me at is on my website or in Patreon or our Discord group. Those are the only safe places. The only places where we take money is for our merch and in Patreon. So if anybody is pretending to be me asking for money, we don't do that. Okay? So please watch out for the scammers. Other than that, all of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. I appreciate everybody for stopping by tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay? God bless you all. Thank you so much. I missed the super chat. Okay. Sorry. That's what I say my Battle of the Bands. Zach, let's enjoy beef bourguignon on my yacht. Hey, appreciate that 2-spot. Appreciate that, my friend. Yes, I'm coming on your yacht. No yacht for me. You guys get the yachts, okay? Okay. I'll bring the adult beverages and a picnic. Okay? We'll have a good time. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Have a good one. God bless.